Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the hidden science, and frankly, the hidden economics, of home cooling systems. And we're doing it by looking at one of the ultimate extreme weather battlegrounds. It turns out that behind that little thermostat on your wall is this fascinating, high-stakes world of mechanical engineering fighting a constant, exhausting war against nature. So we're using a specific case study today to uncover exactly how these systems survive, and more importantly, why they fail when they are put under immense pressure.
I want you to picture this. It is the absolute nightmare scenario. It's the hottest day of the Texas summer, the temperature is pushing well past 100 degrees, and suddenly, your air conditioning completely quits. You're just standing there, staring up at the ceiling vent, praying for a cool breeze that, well, it just isn't coming.
It is a miserable, sweaty reality, guys, and it's one that tests the very limits of modern mechanical engineering and, let's be honest, our personal finances. The battle to keep a home actually livable under these relentless conditions requires some highly specialized knowledge, which brings us to our main event.
All right, Section 1, the Texas Heat Battleground. We're looking specifically at the Lakeway microclimate.
To really understand this, our case study is exploring Lakeway, which is this specific microclimate in the Texas Hill Country that acts as a relentless enemy to HVAC systems. It is basically the perfect laboratory because it throws this totally bizarre combination of threats right at your AC. First off, you've got heavy moisture rolling off Lake Travis. That forces the unit to work twice as hard to dehumidify the air before it can even start cooling it. Then, you've got the limestone bedrock and clay soils causing constant foundation shifting. And to top the whole thing off, the environment produces the super thick cedar pollen that chokes up filters and coils way faster than standard house dust ever could.
Moving into Section 2, Anatomy of an AC Breakdown, and how these systems actually fail.
What's absolutely fascinating here is how all that environmental stress literally translates into mechanical death. Nature systematically attacks different components of your system. Because of the relentless heat, compressors are forced to run almost non-stop, basically running themselves to death. Meanwhile, those shifting soils we talked about, they literally rip the seams of your air ducts apart, which leaks all your perfectly expensively cooled air straight into your attic. And that heavy cedar pollen restricts airflow so severely that evaporator coils can freeze into complete, solid blocks of ice. No way around it. So, when true professionals step in to handle these disasters, they don't just guess. They follow a super rapid, strict, three-step process. Step 1, a thorough diagnosis. They're actually testing electrical connections and measuring refrigerant pressures. Step 2, professional repair using exact components that are up to code. And then Step 3, which is absolutely crucial, testing and verification. A real pro won't leave your house until they run complete cycles to physically verify the airflow. It's a highly calculated scientific approach.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 3-minute rule to protect your compressor.
To prevent these catastrophic wallet-draining breakdowns, professionals rely on insider rules of the trade. And it starts with a crucial operational secret that perfectly illustrates why you can never, and I mean never, just rapidly flip your thermostat on and off. It's called the 3-minute rule. See, when your AC shuts down, that highly pressurized refrigerant needs about 3 full minutes to naturally equalize. If you get impatient and restart it too quickly, the compressor has to work against all that immense pressure. That causes severe electrical strain, and it can literally destroy the unit. Basically, overriding this built-in delay is a fast track to a broken AC.
All right, let's look at Section 4, the $5,000 rule. This is the classic repair versus replace dilemma.
Let's talk money. Because when a massive breakdown inevitably happens, you're faced with a hugely stressful decision. Do you repair it, or do you completely replace it? Making the wrong choice here costs thousands. So the secret is this really simple formula called the $5,000 rule. You just take the age of your system and multiply it by the estimated cost of the repair. If that total exceeds $5,000, replacement makes way more financial sense. For example, say you've got a 12-year-old system. Multiply that by a $500 repair. That's $6,000. Boom! Over the threshold. This brilliant little trick stops you from throwing good money at aging equipment that is totally guaranteed to break down again under that Texas sun.
You really have to carefully weigh a short-term Band-Aid fix against a long-term replacement. Fixing a dying unit might save you some cash today, for sure, but it carries a super high risk of repeated failures. A brand new unit obviously costs more upfront, but it buys you massive peace of mind with, say, 12-year warranties. Plus, the data highlights some major financial incentives right now. Newer, high-efficiency SEER 2 systems can actually qualify for federal tax credits under the 2025 Inflation Reduction Act, not to mention all the local utility rebates you might get.
And finally, Section 5, the economics of comfort and how to actually protect your budget.
So understanding the mechanics is really only half the battle, right? The economics are what actually protect your budget. And that brings us to the harsh reality of what it costs to stay cool. 12 to 15. That is the number of years you can expect an HVAC system to survive in this kind of extreme microclimate. While the national average across the country is up to 20 years, the intense heat and constant workload in places like Lakeway literally shaves up to half a decade off that lifespan. That constant mechanical wear and tear demands earlier replacement, plain and simple.
And because your system is going to die faster in a climate like this, timing your purchase is absolutely everything. Buying in the slower, shoulder seasons of fall, think October and November, or early spring, like March and April, is the absolute smartest move you can make. Demand is low, which means you get high discounts and way more flexible scheduling. But if you wait until your unit kicks the bucket in the middle of a July heat wave, you are practically guaranteed to pay premium emergency rates simply because demand is just completely through the roof.
Which leaves us with this final thought to consider. As our microclimates become more and more demanding, and the weather tests our homes like never before, are you just blindly slapping Band-Aids on your AC and hoping for the best? Or are you actually using the science and the economics to strategically protect your home and your wallet? Next time you hear your AC kick on, you'll know exactly the battle it's fighting. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, stay cool out there.